Good evening, everybody. My name is Sandra, and today I am going to be presenting Mexican culture for my cultural project. Um, the culture of Mexico has undergone a tremendous transformation over the past few decades, and it varies widely throughout the country. Many Mexicans live in cities, smaller rural communities. I know a lot of my coworkers' families still live in tiny ranches. Um, but it definitely is such a defining part of the country's vibrant community. Mexico is the 14th largest country in the world and consists of many several ethnic groups. Mexico is a country that is located just below the US. It is bordered on the north by the United States, on the south border, and west by the Pacific Ocean. On the southeast side by Guatemala, Belize, and the Caribbean Sea, and on the east by the Gulf of Mexico. As I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, it's a very, very diverse culture, very vibrant. Being Mexican American, I felt very compelled to kind of dig deeper in my culture, and being from San Diego, we have the privilege of literally, for me, being in Mexico in 15 minutes. So I really kind of wanted to take a deeper dive to see all the magnificent parts of Mexican culture. So in this presentation, as mentioned, I'll be exploring why culture is so important to the people of Mexico. So what is it like in Mexico? Mexico has more Spanish speakers than any other country. The overwhelming majority of Mexicans today speak Spanish. Um, they also speak English, as if you were to cross over to Mexico right here, Tijuana, a lot of people speak English. As you go more into, I would say, deep Mexico, a lot of people start speaking English less. So the overwhelming majority of Mexicans today speak Spanish, as mentioned. Spanish is spoken by 92.7% of the Mexican population. And then about 6% speak native languages, which is very cool to discover. Family is key in Mexican culture, and along with family being key, religion is also just the centerfold of what it means to be Mexican. So, Mexican traditions and family. Mexicans tend to put such a high value on hierarchy and structure in all business and family matters, especially when you kind of get outside of the cities. I know even living in San Diego, I have a very, very large family, and we're very conscious of our responsibilities to our immediate family members and extended family members, cousins, close friends. We're constantly hosting parties, getting together every weekend, having some kind of festivity. That's always been a part of my life, even being Mexican American. Um, I think one of the biggest things is making everyone feel welcome and feel very comfortable. It's like a big part of our culture. And as mentioned, most of the family units are very large with traditional gender roles. And I would say that I know in my experience, I was always told to stay at home until I got married. So I know American core is to kind of stay until you're 18 and then you go to college and then you move out and that's it. Well, my family is very much against that, and they would like me to stay forever if I could. Um, but as mentioned, it's very traditional. Men are usually head of household while mothers are the heart of the household. Um, I know, being an older sister and being the oldest out of my siblings, I have always been second mom, and it's kind of like our responsibility to help out whenever is needed. um, and along with that, as I mentioned earlier, having large gatherings, having parties, super important, and respecting elders is key. So some of the holidays that we celebrate, or Mexican celebration culture is Day of the Dead, which has become very Americanized. I've seen so many little festivals. I mean, it just passed in November. We celebrate that November 2nd. Beautiful altar. If you go to Old Town in San Diego, amazing food. They have shows. It's really beautiful. The next one coming up is the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and that's on December 12th, and she's a patron saint of the country. She appeared to an indigenous man, and she's been celebrated ever since. So very interesting to read about and kind of dissect. And then the last one being a Mexican Independence Day, which is on the 16th, which is always very much confused for Cinco de Mayo. If you were to go to Mexico and on Cinco de Mayo, they would literally look at you confused because Mexican people tend not to celebrate that. It's just American. You want to go to the bar, have a good margarita with a guac and chip. Super fun, but not a big thing in Mexico at all. And so for food, of course, who doesn't want to talk about food? So basically, the Mexican diet consists of a corn or flour tortilla along with a rice, bean, and a protein. And I would say food is how we bring everyone together. All of our parties involve food. And so for my object, I brought my Mexican bean pot, which I hope you can see. And this one is so old. My grandma got this for us when she was in her little town in rural Mexico, and I love it. My grandma actually taught me how to make beans, and it's essential. My mom makes a fresh batch probably every week, and they literally take forever to cook, about 2 hours. The prep is 20 minutes. You gotta kind of wash them, make sure there's no yucky things. You can also leave them overnight to soak for about 6 hours, but they cook for about 2 hours. And it's called a frijolera. That's what it is called. So good. I prefer them from the pot. I don't really enjoy refried beans, but you can definitely do it that. So, in conclusion, Mexican culture is very important. It teaches how to value family and to respect other traditions and how important our own traditions are. I truly hope you all learned something from our presentation and you can bring that joy into your family and values. Thank you so much. Have a good night.